Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Algonquin Highlands is located on Treaty 20 Michi-Saugig territory and in the traditional territory of the Michi-Saugig and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. We also acknowledge a historical shared presence of other Indigenous nations throughout the area, and we recognize these original inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. Could I have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda for today? Deputy Mayor Dayu, Councillor Short-Reed.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dayu, second by Councillor Short-Reed, be it resolved the agenda be approved as circulated.
All in favor? That's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof this morning? Hearing none. Could I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of December the 14th public meeting, January the 18th public meeting, and January the 18th regular meeting? Councillors Short-Reed and Barry.
Moved by Councillor Short-Reed, second by Councillor Barry, be it resolved the following minutes be approved as circulated. December 14th, 2023, public meeting minutes, January 18th, 2024, public meeting minutes, January 18th, 2024, regular council meeting minutes.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have no public meetings today and we have no delegations today. So we'll now go into closed session. Could I have a mover and a seconder to go into closed? Councillors Richards and Barry.
Moved by Councillor Richards, second by Councillor Barry, be resolved council adjourns its open session of council at 9:01 a.m. to proceed into closed session for the purpose of discussing personal matters about identifiable individuals, litigation or potential litigation, and advice subject to solicitor-client privilege in accordance with sections 239(2)(b), (e), and F of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001 as amended, actions of individuals and legal proceedings.
All in favor? That's carried. Welcome back to the open session. Nothing under building and bylaw enforcement, nothing under parks and recreation today. Under environmental business, we will see the hauled sewage bylaw under the bylaw section of the agenda. So on to public works. And first, an update on the Dorset Rec Center. Welcome, Mr. Thorne.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Not much to update on the Dorset Rec Center. Continued projects are moving forward. There is quite a bit of painting going on when I was there yesterday. Continued drywall work and plumbing, things of that nature. So it's still moving forward, and that's about all I have for this time.
Could you, I just am wondering about, I know that there was some discussion about the library putting their logo on the wall, or have they communicated anything to you about that? I'm just hoping that they can do that within the time frame of our work, that's in place, and, we can move forward without having to wait further.
Yes. So I have had some discussions with the library board about the space and what's available to them. I will be getting back something, I would hope shortly. The discussion that I had was that they're going to put something together that would come back to council for review. And then, yeah, that will be brought forward when I have that. Yep.
Okay, I guess I would just maybe on to Deputy Mayor Dayu, just encourage that to happen as quickly as possible, because we don't want any more delays than necessary.
Yeah, absolutely happy to forward that message. Also bearing in mind that the library does not anticipate opening at the same time as the rec center. There would probably be a delay while they get the books in place, and so we're looking at asynchronous opening.
Okay. Sorry to put you on the spot, but everybody kind of wants a bit of an idea when it might open or when we might be able to say that it's going to open?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to give that to you. I just don't know. Like the project, everything's moving forward, which is great. We haven't had any large snags by any means that it's really setting us back. But at this time, I don't know yet. They haven't started construction on the main floor for the bathrooms upstairs yet. So I mean, there's still a lot going on there. But I'm sorry, I couldn't give you a definitive detail of when that would be right now. But what I can do is I can go back to the contractor and ask if they could provide us with an update for the next meeting, if we can get a proposed date.
Just an estimate, like, I mean, are we talking about the middle of March or the end of March or the, middle of April? Because I just think that people are anxious to know when it's going to open. They're very anxious about the gym. There's a lot of hubbub about that. So if we can give people a reasonable idea so that their expectations aren't too high, then
course.
that'd be great. Any questions for Adam on the Dorset Rec Center? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not so much for Adam as for our group. We did talk about a potential opening ceremony, possibly tied into one of the upcoming main events like May 24 or July 1st or whatever it might be. I just wanted to find out, are we still on track in thinking that we might do that?
I think we're definitely on track for wanting to do that. I'm not sure that we can, I mean, we need to know when the work is going to be done.
Yeah.
And allow some time for planning, and we need to obviously have a discussion about what that will entail. Madam CAO.
As council knows, there's some work to be done outside at the rec center. So I wouldn't suggest we do it first thing in the spring, but I'm wondering if maybe there's one idea that I had was maybe tied into the grand opening that council will be having for the park. And that'll be in July, so.
So we need to have some discussion about what our expectations are for that event, and maybe you could put it on a subsequent agenda. Okay, you have a verbal report about equipment operators course.
Yes, thank you. So this was brought forward to us by AORs looking for support for this this course that they're going to be proposing. And I had some questions regarding it. So I did reach out to AORs asking just a couple questions about the basic knowledge of the course. Because what is basic knowledge to me may not be basic knowledge to someone else. And I just was looking for a little clarification on what it is that they will be trained in and how that would look for municipalities for students coming out of this type of course, because there are courses out there currently that do heavy equipment operator legislation. There are all kinds of courses out there. Just what makes this one unique? So I did reach out and ask some questions, and the answers I got back were basically when we hire a candidate that doesn't come from a program like this, we put them through courses throughout the year, like snowplow operator, chainsaw courses. What else was on here? Oh, their book 7, some legislation, things of that nature. So this will compile all that into a 10-week program. And it's actually pretty interesting. As I was reading through this again yesterday, and then I did reach out to them again this morning for some further information on it. But I really support this idea that they could take students and basically have them ready to go out of class right into the municipal workforce into public works, that they would have their license, they have their book 7 for traffic control, they have a good understanding of municipal legislation, that as an operator, maybe you might not utilize a lot of that, but you would understand what aspects that plays into factors where, patching potholes, the legislation behind why we have to patch potholes when we do, or plowing, or minimum maintenance standards. And I think back to one of the questions was that when I came to the municipality, I had a lot of experience in the construction field, which was, I think, a very good benefit for me and for the township to have that. But where I was lacking was that municipal background and things of that nature, traffic control. So I think it's great that they're putting a program together that will basically hand a student full package ready to go out the door as soon as you hire them. I think that's a huge benefit to a municipality that they don't have to shell out a lot of funds in the first 2 years trying to get a person trained up. This is a great opportunity. In addition to that, I did speak with, I sent an email out this morning asking for a little bit more information on a potential partnership. Is this something, so this would be through the Franshaw College, which is a little bit further away than where we are. But they did come up with 2 options that they may look at if this goes forward, where if there's a concentrated group in an area, the trainers may come to that location to perform this program, or they may look at options to bring everybody to them and then cover costs like travel or accommodation, food, things of that nature. So it got me thinking about our community, and I reached out asking for the idea of a partnership or the idea of how we could maybe be the test dummy, or how we could, try to jump onto this in our community, countywide. We have a great student base, young adults that are, well versed in equipment operations, laboring, and they just need that extra little bit for the municipal side of it. And, we could have some great candidates. So we'll hear what they say. I'm hopeful, fingers are crossed, that they would like to try something or do something with us. But at the end of the day, I think this is a great opportunity and fully support it.
I'm just thinking you might reach out to Scott Ovell at the county about that, because he's worked on, especially when it comes to training of operators or skilled labor, because there is a real shortage of skilled labor in the county that, I know that he has done some work in that regard, just to see if there's any help or support that he can give you with respect to that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Can you tell me what AORS actually stands for?
Yeah, I'm terrible with acronyms, so I'm gonna read it here for you. So it's AORS is the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors. I
I
have so
had the
many-
first 2 letters right, but I didn't get the last 2.
I have so many acronyms that it's I can't keep track of them.
So do we have a motion to support that request?
Yes, we do have a motion that's drafted in accordance with the correspondence, but if council wishes just to simply support it, that can be, or the motion provided in their correspondence.
Comments from council? Could I have a mover and a seconder to support it? Councilors Richards and Deputy Mayor Dayu, in accordance with their provided resolution. Seems how that's what our clerk has prepared.
Moved by Councillor Richards, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dayu, whereas municipal public works departments from across the province of Ontario provide invaluable services to our communities, ensuring the health and safety of all residents. And whereas if it was not for our municipal public works employees from across the province of Ontario maintaining our public road systems or communities, our communities would not be able to function, as emergency personnel could not respond to calls, school buses could not get our children to school, residents would not be able to get to work, school, or appointments, and many more basic functions that would not be able to happen. And whereas municipal public works departments are already feeling the impacts of labor shortage, which will only be aspirated over the next 3 to 5 years, which will cause level of service municipalities are able to provide to ensure the health and safety of our residents to decrease. And whereas there is currently no provincial-wide course that properly trains potential municipal public works employees specifically relating to municipal heavy equipment, therefore be it resolved that the Township of Algonquin Highlands support the work of the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors to develop a municipal equipment operator course to address this issue, and that the Township of Algonquin Highlands calls on the Province of Ontario's Ministry of Labour, Training, Immigration and Skilled Trades to fully fund the municipal equipment operator course in 2024 through the Skills Development Fund. And further, the copy of this resolution be sent to the Minister of Labour, Training, Immigration and Skilled Trades, MPP Laurie Scott, and the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors.
All in favor? That's carried. One quick question. I should maybe know the answer to this, but do we have a full complement of operators?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now we have, we have 2 that are, one that is just sick, but yes, we have full complement. And then in the spring, we would be hiring a seasonal operator and a seasonal maintenance worker.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Next up is fire services. Good morning, chief.
Morning, Mayor and Council.
So you're going to speak to us about our health and safety policy.
Correct. Under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, every employer is required to have a written health and safety policy. And under that same act, it's got reviewed yearly. So we last reviewed it January 19th of last year. The new policy is there to be reviewed by and signed off by council.
Are there any questions on said policy? Hearing none, I guess we have a resolution with respect to that. And just a notice that we all have to sign it individually. Mover and a seconder for that resolution, Councillor Barry and short read.
Moved by Counselor Berry, second by Counselor Shortreed. Be it resolved, council receives fire service report FD 224 regarding the health and safety policy for information. And further, council has reviewed the health and safety policy in accordance with section 25(2)J of the Occupational Health and Safety Act, RSO 1990, and directs a bylaw be brought forward to adopt the said policy.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank
That was
you.
easy.
Have a good day. Yes, it was.
Nothing under finance today. So under administrative business, we are grateful to receive a donation from the Goring family. I don't know that there's any report specifically. Is there questions or comments, Councillor Barry?
I did have the Dorset Museum on Tuesday. And I think traditionally the donation came or correspondence came to the museum, but now it's coming to the township. So my request is that if there's a letter going to the Goring Foundation, just that the chair of the museum just be forwarded on it. Just there was like some people knew about it, some people didn't know about it, just to keep the lines of communication open.
Sure, I think that's fair. Deputy Mayor Dayu?
Just to note that we've seen this foundation pop up in our agendas in the past, and they've been really generous in our community in offering funds to municipal projects and outside of municipal projects. And it's a rare and beautiful thing.
Thank you for that. It is in fact a rare and beautiful thing. Could I have a mover and a seconder to receive the donation and to offer a letter of support or thanks in response? Councillors Barry and Shortreed.
Moved by Counselor Berry, second by Counselor Shortreed. Be resolved, council receives with appreciation $1,000 donation from the Goring Family Foundation at Toronto Foundation to the Dorset Heritage Museum Special Projects.
All in favor? That's carried. Next is a verbal report from the CAO about a draft loan agreement for the Stanhope Museum.
Thank you. This is an agreement the council will need to authorize to sign. The Stanhope Museum Committee has some artifacts on loan from Camp Kawabi, which they have done before with other agencies. So just looking for council's approval on that.
Any questions or comments about that? Could I have a mover and a seconder to support that? Councillors Shortreed, or did you have a question? Councillor Shortreed, seconded by Councillor Richards.
By Counselor Shortreed, seconded by Counselor Richards. Be it resolved, council receives the draft loan agreement regarding Camp Kawabi artifacts for the 2024 Stanhope Heritage Museum exhibit, and that council approves the agreement as presented and directs a bylaw be brought forward authorizing the CAO deputy clerk to sign said agreement.
All in favor? That's carried. Next item under admin business is a request from Mr. Tapscott's lawyer asking if we would consider sharing the costs of the legal fees to transfer the park over to the municipality. Did you want to make a comment about that?
Sure. So the request did come through, as council is aware. They've estimated that the legal fees would be approximately $5,000 plus disbursements and taxes, any applicable taxes. And that the request is for half of that. So if council is agreeable to an amount, I would suggest an upset limit.
Comments? Ideas on upset limit? I guess I can't see us going any further than 3,000. I don't know what, does that sound reasonable? So we would agree to that request with an upset limit of $3,000. I think it's fair. It's a bit unfortunate maybe that didn't come to us as part of the, all the agreements with respect to this, but still a fair request. Could I have a mover and a seconder to that effect? Councillors Richards and Barry.
Moved by Councillor Richards, second by Councillor Barry. Be it resolved that council receives a request from Mark Gelfand, solicitor for Don Tapscott and Anna Lopes, requesting a contribution towards their legal fees for the donation of Dorset Pavilion Park, and that council approves the request for a contribution with an upset limit of $3,000 towards Mr. Tapscott and Ms. Lopes' legal fees related to the donation of the Dorset Pavilion Park.
All in favor? That's carried. Next up is planning business. Guess I should have said this earlier. Good morning, Mr. O'Callaghan.
Morning, Mayor and Council.
First is the proposed shore road allowance closing on Maple Lake.
Thank you. Yes, this is an application to close the shore road allowance in front of this property. It is currently developed. Staff are recommending that the applicant proceed through the regular process to close that shore road allowance.
Any questions or comments about that? Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillors Barry and Richards.
Moved by Councillor Barry, seconded by Councillor Richards. Be it resolved, council receives planning report PL 924 regarding proposed shore road allowance closing fronting property located at part of lot 27, concession 6, geographic township of Stanhope, Maple Lake, and the council approves in principle application OSRA 124 made to stop up closing of the said shore road allowance, and that the applicants are requested to proceed in accordance with the shoreline road allowance closing procedure.
All in favor? That's carried. The next is another proposed shore road allowance closing on Beach Lake.
Yes, thank you. This is another application to close the shore road allowance in front of this property. It is also developed and staff have no concerns with the proposal. I would recommend it proceed through the regular process.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay, could I have a mover and a seconder to approve that in principle? Councillors Richards and Shortreed.
Moved by Councillor Richards, second by Councillor Shortreed. Be it resolved, council receives planning report PL 1024 regarding proposed shore road allowance closing fronting property located at part of lot 17, concession 4, geographic township of Stanhope, McGinnis, Beach Lake, and that council approves in principle application OSRA 224 made to stop up closing of the said shoreline road allowance, and that the applicants are requested to proceed in accordance with shoreline road allowance closing procedure.
All in favor? That's carried. And finally, your planning department update. Anything you'd like to highlight on that?
Thank you. Nothing to highlight, but happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions on the planning report? Hearing none, could I have a mover and a seconder to receive it? Councillors Shortreed and Richards.
Moved by Councillor Shortreed, seconded by Councillor Richards. Be it resolved, council receives planning report PL 1124 regarding monthly activities for information.
All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We shall leave you to the rest of your busy day. Okay, under external board meetings. Anything on the Dorset Community Partnership?
No, unfortunately not yet. We don't have a meeting spot and the hub isn't till next month.
Okay, that takes care of 2 and 1. Anything on Upper Trent Water Management?
The next meeting is not until March. And on the Muskoka watershed, they're looking for a response to their ask of money contributed to them. I let them know that we haven't had our budget discussions yet, so no answer to provide. And they're having their conference next Friday, which I believe you're attending, and I am as well.
I did sign up for that. Thanks for the reminder.
That's about it.
Okay, under community policing, we've got a little bit of exciting news. We've been given authority to move forward with the police board under the Community Safety and Wellbeing Act, which determines the membership of the police board. They have approved 7 members, 1 member of county council, 1 member of each appointed by each municipal council, 1 member of the public, and 1 provincial representative. So that will be discussed at our next county council meeting. They have not yet said when the board will actually come into effect, which is kind of odd. But at any rate, we can move forward with establishing membership and be ready for the go ahead. So that's an exciting piece of news. So we will have to, on a future agenda, put a discussion about appointment to that. And I was not clear on whether that would be a member of our council or a public member appointed to represent council. That's something I need to follow up on, double check. Go ahead.
If I can recall the conversation correctly, and it is going back quite a while, I think the intent was to have a member of the local councils.
Council.
Yeah.
That was kind of my feeling, but I'm not positive about it. So we'll see that on a subsequent agenda. On the Eastern Ontario Regional Network, I attended a meeting on Tuesday, a regular EORN meeting, and there was nothing, just basic updates. Things seem to be moving along reasonably well. The program is on track. There have been some delays, but they have been, I think I've already advised that they have been authorized for a year's extension on the project because of the time delays associated with the duty to consult. That's been approved. We also had our strategic planning session yesterday, which was interesting, following so close on our own strategic planning session. And the one truly common thing that I came away from was that a feeling of unity between EORN staff and the board, which was very strong. There were EORN will be changing its focus. And they have a set lifespan and project within which they're working. And that's of course dependent on the 7 and 7 project and who assumes EORN is right now responsible for developing the business plan for the 7 and 7 project, but not necessarily for the follow through on the rest of it. It goes back to the Warden's Caucus because it's actually a Warden's Caucus project. So EORN is looking at like, what do we do next? What do we want to do? And they're very anxious to work on partnerships. Do they become do they remain a child of the Eastern Ontario Warden's Caucus? Do they become independent? They're looking for partnerships between the Eastern Ontario Warden's Caucus and the Eastern Ontario Mayor's Caucus, which for the most part, their goals are the same, but I mean, they're approached in a little bit different way. There's also another board called the Eastern Ontario Leadership Council. And there's some thought about approaching the Leadership Council, which delves more into data management and economic development specifically, whether EORN should possibly join with the Eastern Ontario Leadership Council. So there's a lot of interesting partnerships under discussion, and we're going to move forward and see what levels of success we have. They're looking at how can we help Eastern Ontario as a whole? How can we work with local municipalities to help them in some of the gaps that we have, some of the knowledge that we maybe need but don't have the resources to work on? And there was so much, you would have loved it, blue sky thinking, about the things that we can and cannot do. The advocacy that needs to be done with the province about having better working relationships with the province, how we're going to see sustainable funding to do some of this work. And, so there's going to be a lot coming out of that. It was really a quite fantastic session. And again, I think I've mentioned before that I will be attending Indigenous sensitivity training next week. Look forward to that. That's a full day in Peterborough. So I'll come back with a report on that. So next up is the library board. I know we've addressed that a little bit today, but is there anything that you would like to add?
Only that I imagine some costing will be coming back very soon to the board regarding the furniture. I think they have a strong sense of how much the stock of books will cost. It's more the proprietary kind of library furniture that gets pricey, and they needed to get some up-to-date figures on. And I believe it's on the back of that we'll be looking at whether the library board feels it necessary to come back to Algonquin Highlands to talk about a potential cost share, or whether the upset limit that has been established by the library board, which is up to $63,000 from reserves, is sufficient to cover the entire operation for the Dorset branch. So fingers crossed, very, very sincerely on that. And hopefully we'll have some news really soon. They're really aware that we're in budget. We're starting budget now. So I think they're doing their best to get us the information we require.
Well, and I think it might be fair to say that the library board also has discussions to take place with the county on their own budget and where that's going to stand. So that may have an, like I'm hoping it won't, but it may have an impact on the ask to us. Any questions on the library board? I should have asked if were there any questions on the EORN information. Okay, next is the Muskoka River Watershed Communications Committee. Anything on that?
Nothing on that. We've had no communications. There's also the community safety and well-being.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We'll go back to community safety and well-being if there's nothing on the watershed.
Yeah. There hasn't been a meeting for quite some time. I'm anticipating February will be when we meet next. I know that there is a project that's hot afoot to get some accessible communication boards into our public parks, so that folks who have difficulty engaging in verbal communication can speak to other members of the public by pointing to symbols like the slide, or having an easier way to communicate with those who aren't used to non-verbal communication, to be able to engage more in those public spaces. So I think we'll be seeing more on that coming up very soon. That's the concrete project from that space that I'm most familiar with at the minute.
That's it's exciting to see that finally coming to fruition, because it's been something that's been kind of in the works for a long time now, and I'm glad to see that that's moving forward. Anything on community climate action plan?
No, and I wonder if we maybe should just put a pause on that line until county comes up with a plan for that. Because at the minute we don't have a coordinator to see that through. And of course, we've all got our corporate plans, which we're responsible for carrying out. But the community climate action plan is very much a body of the county, and we just don't have a direction on that in Corey's absence.
Well, they're still responsible for the committee and the work of the planning department is still responsible, and I know that there's some shortages there, but they're still tasked with climate action plan. I would say about removing this line from, it requires a change to our procedural bylaw and Dawn is still working on the procedural bylaw, so we'll leave it there for now. Nothing under general business. Are there any notice of motion? Hearing none. Waiting for the day when one of you says, I want to talk about this. Under correspondence, was there any support for any of the correspondence? Could I have a mover and a seconder then to receive the correspondence listing? Councilors Richards and Short Read.
Moved by Counselor Richards, seconded by Counselor Shortreed. Be it resolved that council receives the February 1st, 2024 correspondence listing for information.
All in favor? That's carried. And next are the bylaws. Could I have a mover and seconder for the resolution for bylaws? Councilor Short Read, Deputy Mayor Dayu.
Moved by Counselor Shortreed, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dayu. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be received and read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed. 2408, adopt health and safety policy. 2024-09, regulate held sewage. 2024-10, agreement with Camp Kawabi artifacts.
All in favor? That's carried. Could I have a mover and a seconder for the confirmatory bylaw? Councilors Barry and Richards.
Moved by Counselor Berry, second by Counselor Richards. Be it resolved that bylaw 2024-11, being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of council held on February 1st, 2024, be received and read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed.
All in favor? That's carried. And finally, motion to adjourn. Councilor Richards, Deputy Mayor Dayu.
Moved by Counselor Richards, second by Deputy Mayor Dayu. Be it resolved that the February 1st, 2024 regular meeting is hereby adjourned at 10:41 a.m.
All in favor? That's carried.